What is the stupidest way you've injured yourself? Threw a grape in the air to catch it in my mouth. It fell on the floor and I bent down to pick it up and smashed my face into the windowsill. That actually made me laugh, sorry. Drank hot tea lying down. The first thing you learn in British school is to never drink tea lying down. I was in the 4th or 5th grade, but I jumped down an entire flight of stairs. Landed hard and hurt my foot. Walked on it for a day or two afterwards, turned out I shattered my heel and broke my ankle. Hey, I did that same thing in college. I live in Minnesota, so I'm used to kicking snow off my boots by slamming my toe part of the boot down on the ground. Well, it was summer, and I happened to get my running shoes absolutely covered in mud, so I instinctively slammed my toes down on the pavement and broke 4 toes. Holy F, I get that running shoes don't exactly have the same structural support as a winter boot, but damn son, how much force did you pack into that stomp? Stabbed myself in the leg with a piece of metal. It was really thin and tapered at the tip, so when you swung it, you would hear this really cool whoosh sound. I swung down way too hard and it went right into my shin. Bad times. I did this, but I swung up instead, ripped my forehead. I found my dad's EpiPen one day while looking for mouth spray for sore throats. It obviously wasn't what I was looking for, but I wanted to figure out how it worked. I ended up shooting the needle clear through my thumb. I then hid the evidence of my stupidity and never told my mom until years later. I'm sure your heart was racing for multiple reasons, not even counting the epinephrine. Was helping husband replace the bathroom fan, so I was standing on the side of the bathtub. I had this plastic hook glued to the shower wall to hang a loofah on. I went to get down and slid down the wall and hooked my butt cheek to the wall. It hurt so bad, but was also hilarious. I'm in my 40s and this happened recently. I bent over while having a shower and gouged a hole above my tailbone on the bath tap. I dropped something behind my couch, leaned over the back to pick it up, and cracked a rib. Was in pain for a week. Getting old as hell. Bartender here. Reached a little extra to wipe the bar for new guests on a busy night. Popped a rib. 6 weeks later still hurts a bit if I sleep on it. Kicker was I then adjusted my breathing because of the pain, so my diaphragm became irritated. I adjusted again and then my abs started to hurt. Adjusted again and now it's diaphragm, abs, and obliques. That was the longest weekend of my life. I honestly thought I was dying that Saturday. But I didn't have a fever, so I figured it was a bizarre injury, which it was. Like I said, still hurts if I do it wrong, but the muscle pain is gone. Showering at a hotel in a small stall with a slippery tile floor. Bent over to wash my feet. My butt hit the tap handle. I slipped, put my hands out to save myself, and violently slammed the glass shower door open. I bashed my forehead and bridge of nose on the tile floor, had a major nosebleed, and a giant goose egg on my forehead. I don't have bangs to cover that up. I thought I had escaped without the black eyes I expected after bashing my nose, but 2 days later I woke up with deep purple swollen eyelids. Luckily I had packed my seldom used Macup to cover the worst of it, and I wore a hat in the daytime. I'm still shocked the shower door didn't shatter when it hit the wall. It was the second day of a 10-day vacation. I was lucky. It could have been much worse, and we could have been dealing with a vacation-ending injury while in a foreign country. My husband was in the bathroom shaving when it happened and went straight to concussion protocol. Meanwhile I was overly concerned about the amount of blood I was getting on the very white bath mat. I took baths instead of showers the next few days. I broke a rib by coughing too hard. I'm just getting over the flu. Did the same thing. I got out of a long hot shower and noticed a thread dangling off of my shirt, and when I tried to pull it out it just neatly sliced through several millimeters of my finger. It was so minor I can hardly even call it an injury, but getting cut by a shirt is definitely the stupidest I've had. Why were you wearing a shirt in the shower? Wouldn't it get wet? To try to get a cheap laugh out of my ex, I threw a hammer as hard as I could at a tree. The hammer bounced off the tree, and I turned just in time for it to hit me in the small of my back. Miracle I'm not paralyzed. Thank goodness you weren't throwing an axe. Shot myself in the eye with a Nerf gun. I looked into the barrel to see if it was loaded. I was 8. Sounds like a supervillain backstory. Walked onto a manhole cover that was not placed on correctly. Ended up in the hospital and had to have 3 surgeries over 4 months. Tragedy is when I cut my finger. Comedy is when you fall into an open sewer and die. Mel Brooks. Carving a stick. Instead of carving it away from me, I carved it towards myself and sliced my thumb open. Shaved hairs but towards myself and took off a slice of my thumbnail. Twice. When I was a kid, maybe 10 or so, I had recently discovered that the feet on my prosthetics could be unscrewed and moved into different positions, so I borrowed an Allen key from my dad and took it to school so I could unscrew my feet and show my friends at recess. None of them were as blown away by this as I'd hoped. Pretty sure they were just used to this kind of thing by now, haha. Anyway, the bell went to tell us to go back to class and I very quickly tightened the feet back onto the prosthetics, put my shoes back on, and started making my way back to class. As I was walking with a group of my classmates I started to notice my legs felt wobbly. I looked down, and with every step my feet were turning outward slightly. A normal person would have come to the conclusion, oh, I didn't tighten the screws up enough. But not me. I jumped to the conclusion of holy sh, I can control my feet like a robot. My excitement quickly turned to dread when I realized I don't know how to control feet. Been an amputee since I was a baby, and they kept turning until one was pointing sideways. Despite this I kept trying to walk, and after a few more steps the foot just fell off, and I managed to slam the now footless prosthetic down, which jarred my knee and hips, and caused me to slip over and faceplant into the corner of a cement mini wall, one of those waist-high walls. Being a self-respecting 10-year-old I started bawling my eyes out, which caught the attention of the new teacher. It's her first day and the only disabled student is in pieces. The foot got thrown backwards when it fell off, with a bloodied nose, screaming like a banshee. She didn't really know what to do, since I couldn't get back up, so she gave me some tissues for my nose, and made a very confused call to the maintenance man asking if he knows how to fix prosthetics, so I can get to the school nurse. TLDR, my prosthetic foot fell off, and I face planted into a cement wall. Edit. Oh my god, I did not expect this to get as big as it did. I'm glad everyone had a good laugh. Thank you all so much for all the badges. Also I fixed the bullying, ahaha. I went from chuckling to myself about you messing with your prosthetics to wincing until my cheeks hurt. Held a lighter to my ear to listen for gas flow. Click and there went some hair. One time I had a hell of a brain fart and almost lit my face on fire. I was trying to light a blunt, and usually I have the blunt in my left hand at my lips and the lighter in my right. Sometimes I switch hands the objects are in, but for some damn reason, one night I held the lighter in my left hand up to my lips and the blunt pressed up against the lighter. Lips pursed and everything. I lit the lighter. Lips got hot before I realized what the F I was doing. Couple hours later, I noticed my eyebrows were singed. I was stone cold sober at the time. Punch myself in the tit while trying to F around with my sleeves. I don't know how it happens, but it happens often. Having punched, smacked, squeezed, bruised my tits since they grew in. I'm pretty sure they are their own entities. Yes, I spelled it that way on purpose. I was pulling a heavy blanket up, my hand slipped off of it, and my thumb, with a longish nail, went straight into my eye. Oh my god, I just flinched reading that. Did that result in a hospital trip? My friend saw a jellyfish on the beach then kicked it, like on purpose, and knowing what it was, they had to go to the The level of badass of that jellyfish is through the roof. You are washed up on the shore, so you are on the enemy's territory. It's hot. You are straight up melting. You have no legs or arms to fight back, and yet you do. You poison that little brat straight into the air. What a legend. I'm a welder. I work with really hot steel parts constantly, but I regularly burn myself on the microwave meals I eat for lunch. I can relate to this. I was a foundry worker a while back. Worked in an environment daily casting 4 tons at time of molten steel. Riddled with small, although some not so small, burns on my hands. Yet they are mainly from cooking. I think from working in such a hot environment I've become accustomed to heat, so most of my burns from the kitchen are from picking up hot pans, not realizing feeling they're burning my hand until it's too late. Admittedly though, the worst burn I have had is from the foundry. Got hit in the leg by a splash of molten steel during casting. Required 2 surgeries and took about 18 months to heal. Riding my bike home in 5th grade slowly alongside my walking friends. Friend, Drew, look where you're going, Drew. No dude, I'm good at biking, I can do it with my eyes closed. Friend, no really dude, look out Drew. No man, I'm good. Instantly crashes into a parked car, mess up my bike chain, have to drag my bike home in shame, and explain to my mom why my knee and lip are bleeding. I've done something very similar before, and I've also been named Drew before, so I'm relatively certain you are me. Thought I could walk my dog on a leash while riding my bike. Dog saw a squirrel and yanked me off my bike. I broke a few bones in my hand. Doc was like, what did you expect would happen? This reminds me of when we first got our dog, and it was my then 7-year-old's turn to take the dog out into the yard on the leash. But my daughter quickly got bored and wanted to climb a tree. She tied the dog's leash to a long jump rope, to another, and climbed. Edit to at, she tied the end of the line of ropes to her waist and climbed. My husband pulled into the driveway in the car. Puppy wildly dashed towards him at full speed. Kid flew out of the top of the tree, landed halfway across the yard, and was dragged the rest of the way. Puppy never broke stride. I don't know if this is the stupidest way I injured myself ever, but this is kind of funny, and it happened today. I was looking at AskReddit and there was a guy who said he had a naked pic on his user page. So I was walking down the stairs from my apartment, and I clicked on the guy's profile and I wasn't prepared for the sheer ridiculousness of the guy's pic. Lol. I missed a step and fell flat on my ass and down about 7 or 8 stairs. But the worst part is an old lady saw me fall and picked up my phone. The naked pizza guy's still on it, and she went to speak and didn't say anything and silently handed me my phone. I can never look at her again ever. This is the comment where the guy said it. Not to be morbid, but what if you died because of that guy's pic? What would the obituary have said? Bending over to pick up a paper bag. A completely empty paper grocery store bag. It was standing upright, not even laying on the floor. I barely had to even bend down to pick it up. Somehow this triggered a cosmic alignment between 2 vertebrae and nerve cluster, because suddenly I fell to the floor in crippling pain, could not get my back straight, and had to crawl to the living room so I could lay on the carpeted floor and try to stretch it out. I ended up effed up like this for days and had to have physical therapy to slowly work out the pinched nerve. I was basically walking like Quasimodo for a couple weeks. People would assume I was in an accident, or lifting some boulder like Hercules, or saving a child pinned under a car. But nope. I was undone by an empty paper bag. Edit. Thanks very much for the silver and prayers lol. I feel you. I have done this twice. The first time I lifted my foot to put a sock on and immediately found myself on the floor in the worst pain I've ever felt. I spent a good 3 weeks hobbling around hunched over, barely able to move. Second, I bent over to pick my cat up. Same thing, ended up on the floor, except this time on top of a really pied off cat. Luckily I was good in about a week from that one. Don't forget to like this video and follow this channel to hear more Redditception.